It is time for Money Tuesday. You know, this is not something that's comfortable to talk about. You do need to talk about it. Everyone needs to prepare your estate for your family after you pass. And if you don't, your beneficiaries could face an arduous and costly process to get what you want to pass on to them. Financial expert Marshall Clay with the Welch Group joins us now to explain what you need to get in order now. Good to have you with us this morning.
Good to be here.
Yeah, I mean, you do have to have these conversations. So what are some things that people need to consider?
Yeah, you're right. This is not a pleasant conversation. I think that the big thing that a lot of people don't understand are the ways in which you can pass, assets to your heirs. And there's really three main ways. First way is just through the estate documents, through wills, trust, things like that. The second is title, right? So if you have a joint account with your spouse, I mean, that's one way to pass it to your spouse. And then the third is beneficiary designations, which I imagine our viewers are very familiar with because they have 401ks, they have life insurance policies. So those are kind of the three main ways. And so when you're executing these estate documents, I think that's the number one thing that our viewers should really execute, is not only to execute the documents, but make sure that your heirs have a general understanding of what these documents say so that they're not surprised when this event occurs, right? So you don't have to go into all the details about the exact dollar amounts, but give them a general idea of the flow, how these assets are going to pass. And then importantly also is to provide a location of these documents. Are they held in a home safe? Does the attorney have it? Where are these documents? As far as titling the accounts correctly, again, we talked about kind of the joint title, and that depends on, are you married? Are you trying to avoid the probate process, which I know is a big priority for a lot of people, but primarily who's receiving the money. So you can have that joint title, but then some people want their assets to be held in trust. There's some specific reasons for that as well. And then the last, as far as beneficiary designations, make sure that you're getting with your 401k provider, make sure that you're getting with your insurance company to make sure that those beneficiary designations are up to date as well.
What about if you have you have a savings account with a bank? Do you name beneficiaries in that regard, or does that have to be in a will or a trust?
Well, a lot of times those are titled, a certain way, but yeah, like for example, if you're married and your spouse ends up predeceasing you, you can actually establish beneficiary designations on those checking and savings accounts. A lot of people don't know that, but you can establish a beneficiary designation so that those assets actually avoid probate and don't have to go through that process. I oftentimes recommend that for surviving spouses. Say, go ahead and name your children or whoever you want that money to go to, just so it makes that process a little bit simpler.
What should somebody do with if they own a home? Let's say they bought it, decades ago, and now it's worth a lot of money, and they say, well, I'm just going to gift that to my beneficiaries, my kids. Bad idea?
Well, no, I mean, so a lot of times you get a step up in cost basis on assets like that. So if you bought a home, many years ago and you pass away and it's, had $500,000 or $700,000 of unrealized capital gains, the heirs actually get a step up in cost basis to the current value on the date of death. So oftentimes taxes aren't necessarily the big issue. It's really more about how you want that asset to transfer. So if you don't have it titled correctly, it will have to go through the probate process. Alabama's probate process really isn't all that cumbersome, but sometimes folks just want to avoid that altogether. It just helps save a little bit of money on attorney's fees. But yeah, each person's case facts are different, so you definitely want to seek the advice of an accountant or a financial planner on that. But I think the last few things I would mention before we go is just create a consolidated summary of assets. I mean, our firm, we do a really good job. We spend a lot of time trying to organize these things in a financial statement format, but make sure that your assets are organized and then provide a detailed list of important contacts, whether it be financial planners or accountants as well. To your
All right, not to mention those passwords.
That's
those
right.
are a safe place because your beneficiary is going to need to know that.
Absolutely.
All right, some good information today. Thank you, Marshall Clay. Appreciate it.
You're welcome.
All right.